It is important to remember that some of us come home at a price, and that some families are not so fortunate to have loved ones come home at all. Give thanks that you may reach that place. I do. CW2 Aaron A. Weaver, KIA 8 January 2004, Iraq.
13 Hotel, inbound.
Light it up!
When you dare to take a breath, don't care about no medals on your chest. You're a steely-eyed killer shadow in the night. You were born to fight. You gotta light 'em up before they burn it down.
Welcome to KSok Uncensored. Juan's trying to make me cry with that intro there. Ryan, so happy to have you here with us this evening. We have Ryan Weaver, country music artist and motivational speaker. That is Ryan's music video. Ryan, thank you for coming on.
No, I can't thank you enough for having me. I really enjoyed our last podcast. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, same here. And so we were on the Truth Will Set You Free podcast a few months back, and you were slaying libs in the comment section, and I was utterly entertained by you. I had so much fun just watching you rip into them. And it was funny because then you message me and you say something about, sorry if I was too rambunctious, which I laughed at because if my friends that I've been friends with for decades heard you say that, they'd be like, are you kidding? I used to go by Crazy K, so I have a wild side also, but that was a good time. So I'm happy we're collaborating here now.
Oh yeah, truth sucks sometimes when you try to comment and on pages or on podcasts that you come ill-equipped with with a lack of intelligence.
Yeah, they sure were. And man, that podcast has a lot of trolls, but it was fun seeing you tell them what's up that day. Here's what's funny. So it took that video that we just played, your 2016, what is it? 2016, you released it in 2016, it's Burn, and that's an amazing video, but there's a story behind me just getting it to Juan. I was like, I want to play this at some point throughout the interview, but there was an ad, a 2-minute ad that was in the beginning, and I thought I had skipped past that and sent him the video, but instead I sent him the ad, and it was about stuck poop. Instead of saying constipation, they kept saying, do you have stuck poop? And so Juan, I didn't even look back and see what I sent to Juan. So he sends me a text. He's like, I'm not sure what you want me to do with this. And so I thought you would get a kick out of what's playing before your music video.
Oh, I know the ads are random, but I'm surprised it's not like a tampon commercial or a menopause commercial or something like that right before Burn.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was hysterical. So I thought you'd get a kick out of that. I couldn't not mention it. Okay, so I wanna basically we're gonna peel back a lot of layers today, Ryan. You have so much to you and you've achieved so much, but we're gonna peel back and really get to know you. Like I told you when we were prepping, I'm like, this one is all about you. We don't have to talk about current events or what's going on in the White House or not going on. This is all about you, and we could fill hours worth of podcast. But Ryan, I want to start with something that I would personally think, and I want to hear your opinion on it, was a turning point for you in your music career. And that this is in 2017 when you were announced as the Patriotic Voice of the PBR, the Professional Bull Riders, for their Celebrate America campaign. Talk to us about this, and really, how was that experience for you?
Well, it's pretty incredible. I look at every circumstance when I get on stage as an opportunity to create more opportunities. It's not, and I think that everybody, if they approach life that way, I think they would be much more successful if they're not successful. But I opened for Doc and Warrant and Jack Russell's Great White at a veteran nonprofit event in Colorado called Freedom Fest. And Sean Gleason, the CEO of the Professional Bull Riders, was at the show. The PBR was the prime sponsor for that. They support our heroes, an immensely patriotic sport, immensely patriotic organization. But I was the opening act, and I told my story about my brother, and it was interesting, real quick, not to get off on some long story, but how I actually got this opportunity was by doing the exact same thing that I did on the podcast that we just had, that we were just on together, which was being in your face and being truthful and honest about something. But Dockin did not want to start late, and his manager came on the show in the middle of my performance when I was on the front of the stage and said, I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to, what I'm allowed to cuss or whatever on this one. Some podcasts you can. Am I allowed to let loose? Because it is uncensored. Okay, cool. So anyway, Dawkins' manager said, you guys are done. Get the fuck off stage. And I was the only, he said, Dawkins will not start late. Yep. And I was on the front of the stage. I was the only veteran on the bill at a veteran nonprofit event. They flew my band out there anyway. So I found out about it, went back, talked to my guitar players, like, yeah, Dawkins' manager said go. So I was like, oh no. And my wife was filming with her cell phone, and I got up on the front of the stage, and it was a veteran event and a motorcycle rally. So I don't ever drop F-bombs on stage to try and make it a family-friendly show. But I figured it was pretty safe at an 80s rock concert, veterans event, motorcycle rally to start dropping F-bombs. So I was like, fuck this. I am the only fucking veteran on this stage, and and I'm going to finish my show. And I did. And at the end of the show, Sean Gleason came up to me. I had no idea who he was, and handed me his card and said, we got some things planned. And that was 2016. We wrote a 4-song EP called Celebrate America. And Steven Tyler from Aerosmith was the headliner at the PBR World Finals at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas in 16. And some dude that nobody knew named Ryan Weaver was the headliner in 2017. So I got to perform in 2017 to my first sold-out arena. And my first show in 2018 was Madison Square Garden. We did 28 arena shows across the nation in 18. 19, they sent me to Australia. And I got to go back there again last year to perform as well. Maybe going there again this year. But it was an incredible, incredible opportunity. But like I said, on stage, every single time I step on that stage, I look at it as an opportunity to create more opportunities as well. And every single show, before we get up there, I say to my band, this is the last show we're ever going to play. Leave everything on the stage, and they always do.
That is an incredible story, and I love your approach. I'm currently in the process of writing books, and it's about the importance of relationships in the business world and in your personal life. And what you're saying is completely speaking to my heart right now, because people don't realize you have to approach every situation the way you do. It is an opportunity for future endeavors or relationships, etc. So what an incredible story, and good for you for being bold. That's something else people don't realize. You're taking a risk by being bold, but it will pay off tenfold. You just have to be true to yourself and take those risks, and the right people will appear in your place. So that is amazing.
Absolutely.
I want to walk it back. So you grew up in, I've never heard of this town, Floral City, Florida. What part of Florida is that?
West Central Florida, about 50 miles west of Orlando. If you're going down I-75, for all the folks that are listening or watching, if you go down I-75, hit the Wildwood exit before you turn off to the turnpike to go to Orlando. You can go west instead, and you'll hit Inverness, which is where I graduated from high school, out of Citrus High School in Inverness, but my house was in Floral City, just a few miles away.
Okay, that's amazing. So I go to the Villages every October to visit my in-laws, and so that's not really that far away from there. I love the Villages. I feel like it's a bummer you have to be 55 to live there. But
I'm only 5 years away, so I'm pretty good.
Well,
I'm possible.
Get you a house.
You don't even have to have a car in the Villages. I love it.
You don't, seriously. And it's so clean. You could eat off the ground there. And it's actually, let me just plug the Villages real quick here, since I already have. There is music. You should go there. There's music 365 days a year, everywhere you go, every bar, every town square. There is live music everywhere you go, every day. So it's incredible. And I really enjoy the vibe there. But I want to step back, and you grew up in a family of 11. And I'd love for you to paint us a picture, if you can, of what your upbringing was like.
Well, we had humble we grew up with humble means, so I understood at a very young age the necessity to work and the ability to earn my own way. My dad was a former Marine, and he taught us the value of work and being good and doing the best that we could in school. My brother Aaron and my sister Shannon and I, we were athletes as well as we did well in school. But my dad pushed us to be as successful as possible because we really didn't have a whole lot growing up. He was a sole income maker for the house. And we got to watch him work his tail off for his family. And we never had we were never short on love from our dad. And, super proud of my upbringing. Lived on Orange Avenue where there were these beautiful oak trees that covered the street for miles on end. It was just an incredible place to grow up and learn those values. And, small town USA, red, white, and blue bleeding American patriots in that county as well. It was just an awesome place to grow up, and I wouldn't change it. I mean, folks are like, "Oh, you didn't have a whole lot." I mean, there were times we didn't have heat or hot water and different, but you learn to cope, you learn to survive, and you were never short on love. So that was extremely important. But followed in my brother's footsteps. Aaron and Steve went in the military before me, but went straight out of high school into the military from there.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think it's really important. I like that you touch on, don't feel bad for me that I might not have had everything that I wanted, but really understand that it shaped me into who I am today. And I think that message is very powerful. I want to talk about you mentioned following in your brother's footsteps, Steve and Aaron. So you attended Warrant Officer School and Flight School. And I want to take a moment to honor your brother, Aaron, who was killed in action in 2004 when the Medevac helicopter that he was a passenger in was shut down by enemy fire. And I just want to plug that, from what I've read about your brother, Aaron, he was a total badass. And he survived the very bloody battle of Mogadishu in Somalia in 1993, which really is the basis for the movie Black Hawk Down. What do you want people to know about your brother, Aaron?
Well, I mean, I started off as an intelligence analyst, so I didn't directly follow in Aaron's footsteps. He and Steve both went into the Ranger Regiment. Aaron was in the 3rd to 75th Bravo Company, and Steve was, I believe, in the 1st to 75th or 2nd to 75th. Oh gosh, 2nd to 75th. But Aaron followed in Steve's footsteps in every way. I went in as an intelligence analyst, enlisted guy, then transitioned to become a warrant officer. Aaron went in as an infantry ranger, and so did Steve. They both got out and went back in and went to flight school. They both flew Kiowa Warriors, and I selected Black Hawks when I was going through flight school. But as far as Aaron is concerned, he was the all-American superhero. Losing him, he was my only full-blood sibling, and but I followed his accomplishments were my standard of success. And when he was killed in action, I decided to take my own path and walk. I mean, I was following those footsteps, and obviously those footsteps were no longer there to follow anymore. So I started pursuing my own path. And I think that everybody that's out there watching, if you have that hero or that mentor, that icon, or whatever it is, if you run into a circumstance where you no longer have them anymore in your life, they're always going to be there. They're always going to be pushing you and driving you to be successful. That's actually a photo of us in Iraq. I didn't know he was in Iraq at the time, and I flew.
Oh, wow.
I just got done flying, and he surprised me at Baghdad International Airport. But I use his sacrifices or his sacrifice, multiple sacrifices actually, but his ultimate sacrifice to fuel my fire to be successful. We've been given the opportunity in this great country of ours to chase our dreams because of the sacrifices of heroes who went before us. And I don't care if anyone says that our heroes died in vain for whatever it is, or this, that, and the other. The bottom line is we're not speaking Japanese or German right now. We're speaking English because of the sacrifice of those heroes and the sacrifice they continue to make. And I'll always honor them. But, folks out there, you lose somebody like that, you can use that loss to fuel your fire to be successful, as opposed to letting it drag you down.
Yeah. Wow. I'm glad Juan found those pictures, because as you were talking, I was kicking myself for not providing him some. So thank you, Juan, for being resourceful. And
Juan, that's the last photo we ever had taken. Actually, it's not the last photo we had taken. but that's the last photo that I got because he actually took a picture of us. The last time I saw him, Kimberly Hampton was killed in action on January 2nd, right before Aaron was, and I flew her best friend out to her memorial service, and Aaron was there because it was his unit that she was from. And we got a picture of us, but the camera was on him when he was shot down, and I think that they deleted all the photos off the camera before they sent it back home. So I never got the
wow.
very last photo. So that's the very last photo we had taken of us because he showed up to Baghdad International twice. That was Thanksgiving, I believe, of 2003.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you have this one.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And again, thank you, Juan, for putting those up there because it's really nice to be able to honor your brother. And I want to fast forward to December of 2013, and where you experience another tragedy in your family. Your brother-in-law, Randy, was also killed in action when the Black Hawk that he was piloting was shot down. I want to ask you, what changed for you after you lost your two brothers?
Whew, man. Randy was one of my students going before he went to flight school, and he met my sister while he was in flight school. And going through our family going through this twice, it was just as although Aaron was my full blood sibling and Randy was my brother-in-law, it was just as crushing. I mean, it was horrible because my sister didn't deserve it. And I get emotional. It's interesting because I've been talking about Aaron, and we're about to hit the 20th anniversary of Aaron dying. And I still get emotional talking about Randy because my sister she's just such an amazing human being and so sweet. And she found the love of her life, and he made her life better. But he was shot down in a Black Hawk that was doing a reconnaissance mission of a cell phone tower in Afghanistan. An IED was set up by Al Qaeda. It blew the tail boom off the aircraft, and they rolled down a mountainside. They did have a passenger that was ejected from the back that survived. He was ejected at the top of the mountain, but they rolled down a mountainside. And, you know, a lot of folks don't understand why I'm so passionate about protecting this country and continuing to protect this country and continuing to serve and being as loud as I am and not backing off when someone says something stupid or does something stupid or detrimental, you know, to our military service members or our hero community or whatever it may be. All these folks that are serving, you know, other people in their communities, whatever it may be, they don't know what it's like. There are very few people, less than 1% of the entire United States has ever served in the military, much less become a one-time Gold Star family, been a member of a one-time Gold Star family, to be a member of a two-time Gold Star family and go through that twice. It's if anyone out there has any question of how amazing this country is, they just need to go through that. If they question that or disparage this country or disparage any of our service members or heroes, they need to go through a funeral like that, if not two of those funerals, to experience that loss of someone that they care about immense, that means everything to them, so that they could just shut the fuck up. That's what I think.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Seriously. I know. It's absolutely disgusting to see and hear people speak negatively about people who have put their lives on the line and lost their lives. And that's one of the reasons when we were on that podcast together and you were just giving it to them, I was like, thank you. It was so wonderful to experience. And I appreciate your transparency and how you go there, and we need more like you. So I appreciate that, Ryan. And I want to talk about, so when you were serving, did that end up changing from being infantry or active duty to maybe going and not being on the front lines?
Yeah, so everybody's seen the movie Saving Private Ryan. There's a Sole Survivor Act. Sole Survivor Act is if you're the sole surviving son, you're no longer deployable at that point. You can opt out of it, but then there's also provision if your sibling is killed in action while you are also deployed at the same time, you no longer have to serve in combat. Quite honestly, it took me 2 years just to look at a Black Hawk. It took me, I flew them, and it took me 2 years just to look at one when they were, and then I get restationed to Fort Rucker where I'm a TAC officer doing the Lewis Gossip Jr. on steroids thing, for officer and a gentleman, but training our future warrant officers and as an instructor. You know the difference between the rotor sounds when they're flying overhead. I'm at Fort Rutgers, Army's aviation, where Army aviation is centered out of, but you know the difference between the rotor systems. If I knew a Black Hawk was flying overhead, I would never look up in the sky at it.
Yeah.
Until I got past that, and Randy was actually the reason I got past that, because I got to tour his base out. He was at Fort Riley, and he showed me the new Black Hawks that they had at the time. And that's the first time that I really got back in or could look at one and get around him. But for me, that's when I really started my country music career. And I was doing karaoke and singing competitions at flight school. I was winning. It was something I realized later on in life that I was decent enough at to win. And I loved it. It was the performance aspect of it, connecting with the crowd. There was really no message at the time because I hadn't started really writing to put originals out there. But yeah, I started doing the club scene, festival scene, and all that, and chasing my dream. And then when that was when I was doing those. But then when Aaron died, I started going after it and got with an Army band on post, and we were doing the club scene, festival scene, and all that down in the Southeast. And I just started charging at it. That giant roadblock, that loss in my life, I turned it into a speed bump and just blew out my suspension running across it, trying to do the best that I possibly could in Aaron's honor.
Oh, that's an incredible story. So fast forward to today. You've been on tour before. You play at different events. What does your music career look like today?
Well, right now we got a lot of different things going on. I started getting really into the motivational speaking realm, where we're combining the motivational speaking with concerts. It's actually been really nice because people get to know my background and my story, and then we throw a concert with my full band at their galas. So they bring me as a keynote speaker, and then we do a full concert at their galas, just like you're partying with friends, because everybody really gets to know me. And know you during the motivational speaking. So I'll be at the Great American Summit coming up here at the end of June. I'm just going to be speaking at that one, but last year we did a concert with it, got an event, Warrior Weekend. This is the 22 Warrior Weekend shirt with the Warrior Shield Foundation. They're going to be doing the boot campaign, supporting the boot campaign this year. That'll be September 9th down in Orlando. If anybody wants to sponsor, get involved. It'd be a great thing. We got a concert, obviously, for that one, and I'm also going to be the keynote speaker for their gala night. And I've got a 4th of July concert that's coming up in Prescott. Actually, it's not going to be 4th of July. It's going to be June 30th. They're honoring the Granite Mountain Hotshots. If anybody hasn't seen the movie Only the Brave, that's about those Granite Mountain Hotshots that lost their life in Arizona. It'll be the 20th anniversary of that incident happening, and I'm going to be the headlining entertainment for that on June 30th. You guys can get out to Prescott, Arizona. Beautiful town. Love it, but super, super patriotic. But those are the 3 things that I've got lined up so far.
That is exciting. And what would you say, so when you're doing your motivational speaking, what is your premise? What is the main message that you want people to take away?
Well, it really depends on the audience, because I've been able to tailor my message to the audience that I'm speaking with. One, I've done mid-level management and talked about how my band has been with me for 8 years, and how I've managed that and kept them. A lot of my band has mid-level management, overcoming obstacles, leadership, because I was a leadership development instructor in the military as well. But then, we have the patriotic message. If folks want a patriotic motivational message, I've spoken for TAP, Strategy Assistance Program for Survivors, about using that loss to fuel your fire to be successful. So the message can vary depending on the audience, but really, giving my background and finding the success that I've found outside the box of Nashville, outside the box of the music business, that they kind of put you in. They look at me as a military service member before they do as an artist. Having my own cowboy boot line, having clothing lines, having all those things, and being able to start those partnerships and finding that success, and talking about how I did it that way.
Yeah, you are incredible. I was looking at your website before the interview today. I'm like, wow, there's so much here. So you've achieved a lot. I want to talk to you about something. Being a Leo wife, my husband's a police officer here in Portland, Oregon. And, I know that you feel very passionate about honoring heroes and also about first responders. There is so much hate out there for especially police officers, law enforcement. And I'm curious if you personally feel that first responders also fall under the term hero when it comes to the United States.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I support our hero communities. If you, I have a tribute video called "Never Forgotten" that honored fallen New York Fire Department, New York Police Department, Dallas police officer that was killed in that attack downtown, a border patrol agent that was executed during when he intercepted an illegal immigrant, and my family as well. I just came out last year. My most recent music video is called "Let's Talk About Heroes." It honors our law enforcement, first responders, and military as well. Yeah, absolutely. Our first responders and our law enforcement, they're all heroes. They're there supporting their communities, trying to do what they feel is right in their communities to make it a law-abiding place, as well as saving lives. I mean, they're incredible on a day-to-day basis. What law enforcement officers and first responders have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Our military service members, and not to discount their service by any stretch of the imagination, they get deployed and then they come back home and they deal with those situations, life and death situations on a deployment, and then they come back home. Well, our law enforcement officers are dealing with those life and death situations potentially every single day, especially in shitholes like Portland.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Hey, I agree with you.
I don't know if you saw
Especially-
the look on my face, but oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I visited
it's rough.
Portland just a couple of years ago, and it was a beautiful city all the way up until all the stuff started going down, and this clown show came into office and started supporting it all. It really,
Right.
please send my immense amount of respect to your husband for doing what he does, and still, I mean, I'm surprised that you guys haven't moved. Come to Tennessee; it's a whole different ballgame.
I know, that's on our list. He can't retire for 9 years, and financially, I'm like, I don't want to leave your whole retirement on the table, right? So
Wow, you can't move to another police department and stack it up? It doesn't work that way?
you could stay in the state of Oregon and keep your retirement, but then you still have the same governor making horrible policy. So yeah, and I took him from, here's another little factor. He was NYPD when I met him. He's a New Yorker. I was on vacation in New York City. So he was already on for a handful of years, and I got him to start fresh in Portland. He'd be retired by now in New York. So he does
Wow.
not want to start over again. I definitely get crap from him on that. He's like, because they only have to do 20 years in New York. So he's like, I'd be retired with
Wow.
full benefits for life for you and me. But, it is what it is. I thought it was going to be a better quality of life here, and it really was until 2020, and things really started going downhill. But I'm curious. I mentioned I wouldn't bring up topics that are in the news today, but I did want to ask you. You posted something on Instagram today, and it's regarding the military. I believe it's the Navy. They're trying to attract Navy recruits by using drag queens. Is that? Do you have any commentary you want to share with us on that?
So I'm sure Juan's going to appreciate this one, because we do we always joke back and forth between the services. But I I had a video that I was going to post afterwards to do a poll to our to the Marines out there to see if they really liked this, so they didn't have to have name tags on their asses of the Navy guys, so they knew who they were fucking.
Oh
They won't
my
need that
gosh.
before.
Juan's, yeah, he likes it. I can tell. You got approval from him. That is
That's a
insane.
couple tweets. Yeah, because
Oh
the
my
Navy guys
goodness.
stencil their name. I think they stencil it or get it sewed on, whatever, for their laundry services, but they have it on their butts. They have their names on their butts, and the joke is always, why do they have it on their butts? So the Marines know who they're fucking. But
Oh
I
my
guess now you won't
gosh.
have to worry about it, because they'll just have makeup on.
Juan's trying to keep it together down there. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. I know. I'm like, seriously, how desperate is the Navy? This is so bad. And that's not
It's
the first thing I've seen. They were like wearing masks in some recruitment commercial in the last year. I'm like, seriously, guys. And they're on a ship out in the open air, open waters, wearing a mask. So
yeah, I
I would
was
say they're the most woke.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was an Army recruiter right before I went to flight school. I got selected to flight school while I was an Army recruiter. And recruiting and retention is hard enough as it is, knowing that this clown in chief is at the head of all of it.
Yeah.
And it's seeing all the things that they're doing to our military service. I am never going to discount my brothers and sisters in arms and their service by any stretch of the imagination. We always make fun. We always josh back and forth, but we all know that we bleed the same color blood. And
Right.
I'll always stand next to them. I can't see how they are going to be able to keep the numbers that they need to keep. And goodness gracious, do they have China and Russia shaking in their boots right now with a trainee out there
Yeah.
trying to recruit Navy service members. But once again, we always thought that the Navy was full of a bunch of gay people anyway. So there's nothing
Hey,
wrong with, and don't get
it's
me
just
wrong, I
been
don't have a problem
proven.
with gay people. I don't have a problem with gay people. That's a joke, folks. That's a joke. So don't be offended out there. If it hurt your feelings, it's a joke. We always, like I said,
Oh
we
my
always
gosh.
back and forth about semen, the Navy being full of semen. So.
I can't watch down there dying. Oh my goodness. All right. As I couldn't help myself. We went over a little bit, but can you just talk to us about the quilt behind you before we wrap up?
So, someone was
It
kind
looks
enough to make
special.
yeah, it is. I mean, someone was kind enough to make this quilt for me. It has memories of everything that I've done, essentially up until, I mean, you have Charlie Daniels right here with me. Was incredible to do the Grand Ole Opry. He introduced me on the Grand Ole Opry. That picture that you just saw of my brother and I mean, there's Randy right here. I mean, my dad, the reason why I got emotional at Burn, I don't know if you saw it. Well, I mean, my dad died last year in January. We have 2 weeks of January that just suck. I mean, we buried Randy, Aaron died, my dad died, all within the same 2 weeks. But I mean, it's just incredible. Another picture of Aaron, my band. I mean, it's incredible memories. But one of the most amazing things, Aaron, when he was in college, wrote this poem called "A Second Dance." He was he talked about Somalia in this poem, and he also was in a skydiving accident where he almost killed himself in a skydiving accident. But he wrote this poem called "A Second Dance," and the irony of it is he sent it to me to see whether I felt if it was good or not. And I mean, anyway, it's an
Yeah.
incredible poem.
Oh, I can imagine. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us. I know it's intimate, but very impactful. And Ryan, I want to make sure that you're able to share with people because I know everyone's going to want to get in contact with you. Where can people find you?
My website's ryanweaver.net. Social media, the two primary pages I use are Facebook and Instagram. Haven't gotten a whole lot of traction on the new stuff yet, the Getters and the True Socials and that kind of stuff. Still trying to work that out. But Ryan Weaver Country, all three words together, blue check mark on both. If it's not a blue check mark, it's not me, on both Facebook and Instagram. But Ryan Weaver Country is the best place to find me. Weaver Country is my channel for YouTube. All my official videos are on there, but you can find all that stuff, all my social media links as well on ryanweaver.net.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. I'm so happy that you came on today. I know you have a very busy schedule. We booked this like 6 weeks ago. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing intimate aspects of your life with myself and with the audience. And I hope to do it again. And I would love to meet you in person. I'll have to come to one of your shows or when you're speaking a motivational a speaking engagement. I just really feel like you're an incredible person and everyone has so much to gain from just being in your presence.
I appreciate that. I think the only time I got to perform up around that area was in Tacoma. But I love the area. I love that we did the PCH and got to go through there. We took a little stint out to Portland. But anytime you and I could get on a podcast together, I know we're going to have a good time.
Yes.
So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Excuse me. Well, thank you so much, Ryan. And thank you everyone for tuning in to KSok Uncensored. We will see you next Thursday.
Standing alone, I imagine your face. smiling when you said goodbye yesterday. You were my hero, my heart, and my everything.